Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Welcome to Derry series. I think it's the first time I've smoothly said the title, which is good because
Crushed it.
and I screwed that up. We are at the penultimate episode of this series, episode 7. I am the dancing podcaster, Travis Snell. I'm joined by.
Hey, my name is Dylan Muss.
Yes, we are here. It's a weird time because it's like the show. It's not that I forget the show's going on, but there's sometimes I do a little bit. Maybe that speaks to the quality, and I don't think it's like a bad I think it's like we'll just get right into because I was not here last week. I feel like and hopefully for the finale we should have all three of us on. I feel like we're on different wavelengths where I feel like you're definitely the most down on the show. I don't know about this episode, but overall I feel like you're the most down. Taylor's definitely the most highest, and I feel like I'm like right, maybe not right in the middle. I'd say leaning towards Taylor, but it's just like I'm fond of myself. So last week I enjoyed that episode. I think this episode is a really good one. I think there's some good moments in here. I think there's some really dark stuff in here. I think minor spoilers, but like I feel like if people are waiting for Bill Skarsgård, this is the episode where it's like, okay, you're gonna get a good amount of him, right? So I think he delivers there. I think there's some fun stuff too where he's doing things that he's not got to do before in this series, perhaps. So that's good. But now next week's the finale. So I just feel like almost every week that I've still enjoyed it. I think other than maybe week 1 or week 2, but I find each week I finish it, I'm enjoying it, but I'm never like, oh, I can't wait till next week. And it's not like when I consume the episode, I'm like, oh man, no, it's not like that, like a Secret Invasion or something like that for me personally. But yeah, I enjoy this episode. I think there was a lot of intense stuff in here. I think there's a scene that I'm very 50% on because I think there's good stuff happening in it, and I like the idea of it, but I also think it's shot in a way where clearly they're trying, like they're shot in a way where they don't want to danger the actors and they also want to keep it on a budget, and it feels like there's some cool stuff going on, but it feels like it's also kind of distracting. But yeah, and I feel the end of this episode set up very much to. I'll be very curious if this gets a season 2 because we get it and then it chapter 2 and then this. It feels like they're kind of all ending in a similar fashion. There's definitely some new stuff going on, but I mean, like just I'll say like the very end of this episode, I feel like has happened in both movies that leads to the third act of the movies, and here we are again doing this with another character. So, yeah, I enjoyed Bill. I think there's some, like I said, some really good moments. There's some grotesque stuff. This is definitely the darkest episode of the show so far. This is a really kind of dreadful episode. Like it's not a happy, and again that's why it's another time. I got the Christmas tree behind me, still find it odd, like this is in the middle of December. I wonder how people are vibing with this that aren't like into the big horror community, right? Like is it something you would be like, I'm gonna come back to this later on and then never come back to? It just feels like if you're in the holiday cheer, this is definitely not the episode. There's clown violence, there's human violence. It's not a good time in that way. So yeah, I think there's some big stuff that happened. I still enjoyed it for the most part, but next week I'll be curious when we talk about the finale because I feel like there's some storylines that they're going to keep open to try and get that season 2, but I don't even know how it's going to work because I feel like there's one thing in particular they're going to try and leave off, and it feels like they kind of close that loop. So, yeah, I still enjoy this. Had some questions, but yeah, what did you think about this, Don?
Yeah, I think it's been because for the first couple episodes I was like up and down, and then for the last few I've just been kind of down and out. And yeah, I think I'm still like out. I've kind of tapered off, and I think it's kind of lost me a little bit. Like there's one plot line in this episode, or one, I guess, underlying thing that's really not a huge vault for the show, but it's kind of, I guess it's been like lurking in the background the whole time. That was kind of talked about more this week, and I really, really don't like that. And I feel like you probably don't either, if I had to guess. And then as for the other scenes, like I feel like every episode has had a couple good scares in it, which is nice.
Yeah.
Obviously for the material we've had. This episode didn't really have that so much, in my opinion. You could definitely make a case for a couple of scenes, but I think it replaces that with like a big, more actiony sort of set piece, which for me, and I think that's kind of what you're hinting at, like didn't look super great and was really drawn out, and like one character interaction in particular that's just like so goofy for me, even though it was supposed to be like really heartfelt and sincere and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I and then again, there's just like one plot point in here that kind of leads to our cliffhanger that is just like a head scratcher. Again, I just feel like a lot of the writing is really sloppy in this show. It just feels we're kind of just meandering from location to location in some way. So I do expect next week to have, a big fun finale, and I'm sure it'll be a good enough time to watch. And I think that's where I'm at. Like, this show's fine. It's not like I'm tearing my hair out watching it or anything like that, but I think the last few episodes have just felt extremely lukewarm, and so
Mm.
I've just kind of been waning in that way. So yeah, I'm sure we'll close it out in a big way, but it also feels like it'll probably be mostly predictable, I guess. Like really, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, just because this is a prequel, right? So I don't know. I didn't really care much for this episode personally.
Oh boy, there we go. Well, we're gonna break it down. So if you've not seen this episode, come back later. But usually the TV shows, I feel like you have. So we will take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So what was the story you were saying of the one you're not? You said it's kind of been looming in the background, and you weren't
Yeah,
a fan of the.
I think it was the military storyline and
Okay.
the
Yep.
information we got here, because we talked about that from the beginning. Like, where are they going with this? And we eventually happen upon the artifacts. There's all these other characters. Of course, it ties in with like crazy stuff that's going on in the town. But then we get to this section in here, and they like recover this one artifact that Halloran found because of this vision he was having, and then they bring it back to the military base, and they're gonna smelt it down, I guess, or just like destroy it, with the objective that the U.S. military wants to inflict whatever like disease Derry has on like
Mhm.
all of America, I guess is what James Remar is saying. It's like, oh, okay, so we're taking this like small, goofy little town of Derry, and we're gonna. The U.S.'s government is to. The plan is to separate kind of that. I don't know. I guess that. What's the word? Like the way people are. I guess the what's the word I'm looking for?
Division.
No, not the division. Just yeah. I guess like the way people are acting. Like the fact that people don't really do much here. Or they don't care about their fellow man. Like they're just gonna let that spiral out to the rest of
Mm-hmm.
the states. I just don't like the scale jump that we had here from
Yeah.
Derry to huge America plan.
Yeah, I think it's now I think we all were a little, I'll say uneasy, but just unsure where this was going, right? And I think with this storyline overall, I think taking out just pure, just make it pure story and objective wise. I'm not a fan of it. I would fail it on that grade. I still end up liking the, Hanlon Senior, and I've still liked all the Dick Halloran stuff. Obviously, I'm a big Shine guy. I've talked about that, but even this episode, I think it led to some good stuff. So I like the characters that were around it. I like James Remar, but I think in this episode there was just multiple things going on where okay, so we once again did James Remar lying again, right? Because at first it's like, well, some people attacked you and we're gonna arrest them. It's like, well, really, that was a test. Oh, I don't remember much about Derry until I got here. Well, actually, I remember everything about Derry, and now once I took some drugs, and now it's like, oh, you know what we were gonna do to save the world to fight the Russians? It's not actually what we're doing. So it's just like the third time where it's like, all right. And I guess there's some shows I feel like that can do that where it's like, oh, this guy, he keeps lying, and like I feel Breaking Bad. That's a great example of a protagonist, a guy you're rooting for, but he keeps lying, and you're like, man, okay. And the lies are so good, but now it just seems kind of hokey. I, and the thing with the speech is kind of two things I have issues with. One, the beginning of the speech is very, I get it, I'm fine for political stuff, but just very on the nose for what's going on in America. Just like, we're so torn apart, everybody can't get together, race and like he's listing every sort of hot button issue that's happening in 2025 and doing it now. And it just feels like that character is, we don't know enough about him, so it doesn't feel naturally like that's how it feel or how he feels. It just feels that's what the show wants him to, and it's trying to speak out there, which is always good because sometimes people can watch a show, maybe they are woke up to something and go, oh, I didn't think about this perspective, right? And I don't mind the idea as far as, okay, I love this in Watchmen. I think we've talked about this before, maybe like on after, like or more like a bread and butter and whatnot. But like, and I think what they're trying to draw a line to, right? If they're talking about America right now, and I'll just say North America in general, because I even say after Canada and COVID, things got a little divided. I think what they're trying to draw a line here is like after 9/11, America was like solid, right? Like once that big event happened, everyone got on the same wavelength. And I think they're trying to say that they want Pennywise. Like if the American people know every 27 years they're going to get killed by a clown or something, they're going to come together. And that's the bigger issue, right? The fear. So I don't mind that. I don't think it's written greatly here. But I think my issue is just the night before, we had a bunch of cops or previous cops and townspeople just kill a bunch of people because they wouldn't give this African American guy over that was probably innocent, right? So it's not, if the Derry was, hey, everyone's kind of a little bit off, but everyone was still like overly nice and didn't hurt each other, you'd kind of be like, okay, it's kind of like a fake happiness, but it's happy, but it's not. Like the people are still like Hamlin hit his son last week. Like that's the thing. It kind
Hmm.
of rots away. That's the opposite of Derry. Is the longer it is, awakened, you can see the town getting worse and worse and more angry. So that's what didn't make sense to me. Of like, I get the idea of okay, we unite against one common fear, absolutely, but I want people to be like Derry. I want it to be like Derry to become America. It's just like, well, this town's awful. So this doesn't make really any sense to me. He even says that in his speech. He's like, look what happened last night. Those people were butchered. It's like, well, I don't know what we're
Hmm.
doing here. So I think it's just kind of it's a lot of political and life messages all roll up the one, and it just doesn't make sense for just kind of what we've been doing for this. I won't say it wouldn't make sense. It feels forced. I'll say that's what I'll say. So
Yeah, it's a goofy the way James Remar is like, see how relaxed and chill and like he used different words, but he's like, today everyone's doing all so good. It's like, don't we want more of this? It's like, dude, they're fucking devastated. It's still like the morning of, like everyone is learning information,
yes,
and obviously like we get like a little news report, and it's kind of just spreading fake news to an extent as well. So it's like the people in the town don't even necessarily know what happened, right? Like
no.
they're getting like an extremely skewed version of like the reality of it. So how could they like react in any other way other than just like disbelief and trying to understand just mere hours after it occurred?
And I'm assuming that that piece that they built, because the kids, they still have the one like shard sword piece, right?
Yeah, I believe Lily still has it, right?
Yeah, so I feel like that's what's going to happen, right? Whatever location they put it in, they're going to put it back there, so they kind of seal the borders. Because I have to think the show's going to do that. Because to me, because I remember when we started the show and we were talking about the origins. I think it was like episode 3 or 4, and they explained that it's kind of like a border right around Derry. It's like, okay, that makes sense why it wouldn't go around. He's stuck in this location. That makes sense why Derry's a raw in town because the
Yeah.
clown can't leave. But if I think they will. I'm giving them the massive benefit of the doubt here. If they don't put that sword there or answer that, it's gonna be odd watching it 1 and 2 and realizing that Pennywise just could like pimped off at any time. Like there is just like they
Yeah.
even said like you're gonna leave the gate open. So I feel like that's what I imagine next week. The kids are they're gonna have to save the Hanlon kid and they're gonna drop the sword back there and then I think right because they had the I can't remember his name but the guy that got brainwashed getting the information he was watching with the binoculars, right? So I feel like he has to have something cooking, right, to try to fix this or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and because I was going to ask you about that too, because like the end of this episode, or like I guess kind of nearing the end, we have the moment where the military roasts up that one shard, and then Pennywise is in like his like hibernation bloodbath body
Yeah.
bath thing, which I really love that shot.
Great
That's
shot. Yeah.
yeah, super super good. Then he emerges from that, and then we next see him at Will's house, and that's kind of the cliffhanger of the episode. But like the other people, like that main group of like the local people who have lived here forever, they're like, oh yeah, like he's fed enough, his cycle is over, he's going back into hibernation. But then I guess it's because they melted the shard, so he came out of hibernation, and then by Lily putting that one shard back, it's gonna reestablish that because obviously
Mhm.
we know that he does go back into hibernation, right?
Yeah. I think it's a lot of heavy lifting I have to do with
Like,
the
does
show.
each shard correlate to like 6 years of hibernation or something? Like, is that what's going on here?
No, I think what's going on to me is, and I think this is where they'll try to explain it next week. I think it's heavy lifting, but they did try to explain it. Shout out, the movie will be out next year. A couple episodes ago, they used the word adrenochrome. They talked about what adrenochrome is. I think the idea is they move this piece of rock, this part gets open because that was the thing where that Hanlon kid lives. He can't. They're like technically like out of Derry a little bit, right? So I think what they're going with is Pennywise is so like salvating this kid's fear for whatever reason. He wanted to get like one more before he hibernated. Because to me, it would make no sense of if he's supposed to hibernate. If one like gate opening, why would he be like, well, I'm not hibernating anymore, right? I'm just gonna go back out and keep doing more. And like, unless like you said, it is like every 6 years something happens when you move these stones. But that's way too much stuff.
That's a good that must
know.
be what it is. Yeah, that makes more sense for sure. Yeah.
So I think that's what it is, and I think they'll probably do something next week where Pennywise will just say, "It was just so yummy, it's so good," and I don't know. Like I agree with you. I really like that shot because we've never seen actually like in the series or here Pennywise actually kind of hibernating. Right? Obviously he didn't. He woke up, but still it was kind of that like idea of okay, he's going down for his long sleep and it's blood and just so you just kind of think that I guess he's just laying there, and then whenever he's hungry, he just reaches up, grabs some bone, and then goes back down. So it was like a cool thing there. The only thing was I was of two minds. This is just it doesn't really make that much sense, but it just bugged me a little. Where when he gets to the Hanlon kid, I love the effect where he's still like the blood from his nose all the way down. But every time Pennywise appears, he's always like transforming into something, right? Like they're almost making it seem like he was in the blood, so this would stay on him. But really, he should just like he could turn into anything the blood's
Yeah, I'm
right?
kind of surprised that his hibernation form is Pennywise. I would have thought it would be like
Yeah.
more
Whatever.
entity like whatever he actually looks like underneath all the disguises and stuff.
Yeah, and I guess not. And it was probably a good idea because they don't want to like fully show because
yeah.
it's tough. 'Cause
That
I think I think he is supposed to be like a spider, and the chapter 2 they made him into a hybrid or whatever. But
Yeah. That was another thing that bothered me about this episode. And maybe you did give a good defense for it of like Will was like outside this supposed barrier. But to me, again, for the parents to like leave him there alone is like, oh my God, how dumb are you? And that's just another thing that really bothers me about just so many of the little like convenience plot things in this. Like I feel like there probably should have been like maybe I don't know what it would be because I guess it is location based to some extent, but like even they brought him with them and then he like went into another room or something and Pennywise lured him or something, but for them to just leave him at home after all this shit just happened, I'm like, that does not make sense to me for what these characters are, especially like how protective that mom, like when she sees her kid again, I'm giving her more credit than the dad, but when they see Will, when they show up to like the crime scene to recover him and just like that look of relief that, oh my God, he's okay. And then like mere hours later, like, yeah, you just stay home. We trust that you're not going to leave the house, even though you've done it like 17 times at this point, and we're going to go leave like right after this event. It just didn't really make sense to me. So I might be nitpicking, but I just like so many things like that have happened in this show that it's really grinding my gears.
Well, because I'm with you too. There's two things, and maybe I'm wrong on the second part, but the first part is not even take out the Pennywise and monster stuff. You just had a bunch of white people get together and kill a bunch of African Americans, right? And you're connected to the situation, both of you, and it's like, what if they're going for your son? And maybe I was wrong. This is the second part. Did they say if they were going to bring the guy that's the wanted criminal to their house? Did they say that?
I didn't catch that.
Okay, I thought, because I like, what are we gonna do with him? And I thought the Hanlon senior was like, oh, just bring him to our place, we'll have him. So maybe I won't complain about that unless that happens next week. If that is the case, and they bring the guy that's wanted for murder and just cause this whole barn to get brought down, also a very questionable move.
To the
I know
house
you're
with
trying
their
to help
kid,
him.
yeah.
Of course he's innocent, but maybe like hotel room or so. I get it. It's like, or like, I don't know, somewhere bring him to the house, maybe not the best idea, or at least bring the kid somewhere else. I don't know, but yeah, it feels a little easy just to be like, oh, let's go home, right? Because it's not just the Pennywise stuff. And they kind of have an idea this stuff's going on. So I agree with you. It's just a little easy, and that's where I was talking about. I can't remember who gets taken in it chapter 2. I guess they go down there, but that scene was pretty much just the exact same that they do with Beverly in it chapter 1, right? Where she's on the phone, turns around, boom, he gets her. This was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård does a little jump off the fridge or something like that, but they get him. So I was like, okay, so I guess that's probably the finale, right? As kids go down to the well, they fight Pennywise, and I kind of hope, other than because I think the Hanlon kid has to make it out. I kind of hope, this sounds bad, I hope all the kids die, and he's like the only one that makes it. Like they kind of give themselves, and it's kind of like, oh well, yeah, we weren't strong enough, because it's just. I feel like it's kind of. I'm fine, I guess, with the every odd kid making it out, but if all these kids go down to Pennywise and beat him or whatever, and then in 80s, these kids beat him again, it's like, well, he's pretty weak, but especially in this like fire barn situation, he was kind of popping off. He was taking a lot, and he wasn't even taking them back. He was just eating them right there and everything. So it just feels like, especially in this show, and I've seen other people bring this up, he feels a lot more powerful, which I'm kind of fine, because we've said before, maybe in the 80s he's more cocky or arrogant or whatnot. But if he, again, to me, loses here, it's like, well, why in the 80s is he not like maybe prepared? Like, oh man, last time just a bunch of little kids killed me. Maybe I shouldn't kind of play with my food. But I don't know. Maybe next week they will be bold and kill them all off, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Because it would be Lily, Ronnie, and I always forget the other friends, the shitty friend's name. Marge. Marge.
Yeah, the pirate eye.
So obviously
yeah.
she's got the motivation now because of
Yes.
Rich's death.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Ronnie and Lily's motivations also make sense to want to go down there or even accepted the risk. So I feel like, and that maybe that was part of the reason why they killed Rich off in this episode, is just to space out some of those deaths a bit more, have a couple episodes worth of mourning, I guess. And I mean, frick, I feel like at least half the episodes in this show have had child deaths in them, which is pretty
Yeah.
intense stuff. But that is par for the course for
Which,
it content.
which is crazy because I just feel like that was when we started this podcast. I know it happened, but I feel like that was such a rarity to see in mainstream stuff. Not like
Yeah.
independent or foreign
hmm
stuff. In mainstream stuff, it was like you don't really kill kids, and you don't kill dogs. It's like from then we've gone John Wick, and you got it, and you got a bunch of other stuff like Game of Thrones. Like it just feels like a lot of this stuff is all for the course. And yeah, they've think about back to first episode, right? They start off by killing those 3 kids,
Yep.
and now we lost Rich. And I liked that scene. That's where I think even with that look of the fire, which I don't think it was the greatest because it kind of just looked like they added an extra smoke filter to make it not look as bad, but then it just was. It's like the nighttime hard to see thing where it's like, okay, I see some silhouettes, but it just doesn't look visually that great. I think maybe if you just cut even 5 minutes off that scene, because I feel like there's a lot of people just run around. And I get it; they're going for like the one continuous shot thing, but with this thing, it didn't. I won't say not feel impressive. It just didn't feel as grandiose because it did feel like, oh, this is one that really feels like it's digitally altered editing, because all the smoke at any point just, oh, whoosh of smoke, and then, oh, look, a new frame, and they do that multiple times. But that's where I actually, I like the Halloran trying to save the kids, or Hannaran, or Halloran trying to save the kids.
Yeah.
I did like the rich scene of him, saving the girl, fun, noble thing. I liked his little speech there, so I thought that was a cute moment, but and a heartfelt moment. But yeah, that's what I'd say. It's just that scene maybe take it down a little bit. I did like Pennywise's reveal though, as far as just this, lady seeing this clown. Like, oh, I'll help you out here. Then he did a lot of biting this episode.
He did, yeah. He also had a crazy fucking slice on that guy's head. That was a wild shot, and then just takes like a nibble out of there too.
He didn't taste good. I don't
You
think.
don't, you don't think so?
Well,
He didn't look like he tasted very good.
if he threw him away, right? He must have not been that good. But yeah, and he's walking around that meat cleaver this episode. That's not one I saw. But yeah, what did you? I guess to kind of go back to the beginning because I was going to ask about the little resolution there at the very beginning. We get to, which I actually really enjoyed all this stuff. I like to see we go back to maybe was this the 30s or like the 1900s?
What are we in right now in the series?
We're in the 60s, right?
So I think it would
60s,
be
50s.
Yeah, it's either 30 or it would be either the 30 or 60 year. I think it's the 30 years before, right?
Okay, yeah. So we go back to kind of what we've heard before of like this, Pennywise, the dancing act, the dancing clown, the carnival act. But I like because I think people have said this is in the book, and I read the book a long time ago, or I don't know if this is something that's added in some other books because King has like a connected universe. But I kind of forgot that I thought Pennywise posed as this clown. Like I guess he did. But either I forgot or did not know that it was an actual man, like a regular man. Because last episode when they introduced it, I was like, I don't know if I like the idea of like Pennywise like reprocreating or anything. Like I don't I don't want to get into the whole like how does this work and does this daughter have powers. So I like that the line where I actually liked everything with Bill when he's doing the whole act. That was tons of fun. I like the scene with his daughter. I like when he's just outside, he's drinking, he's smoking, he hates life. Like he's just trying to get back to the circus. And I love the first thing that it's taking the shape as a kid and it walks up and just says, oh, kids are really attracted to you. And I thought, oh, that's great because like this thing is a predator, right? So it notices, hey, how could I feed more? How could I get more? Well, people really like this clown. I'm going to become this clown. I wonder, and I guess maybe that's what the second season would be, is seeing like, I'm guessing he's around a lot. So it's just like, did they raise, how much did he raise this kid or whatnot? So I like all the past stuff. I like the concept. When we got to the resolution of the adult daughter, didn't really like much of that, but I'll hand it off to you. But I was not a fan of a lot of stuff we got there.
Before I go, I'm curious about like the stuff from that last week too. Like, how'd you feel about her creeping around town, hiding behind trees and stuff?
I was fine with it then, but I'm less fine with it now because to me the resolution. I thought, okay, so I guess I'll say it here. When she walks up to him, and it sounds like she gave the information to the racist people, right? And then she walks to the Pennywise and say, oh, well, I knew this would bring on fear and hate and pain, and that would bring you out. So to me, I thought, okay, this is a person that knows it's the clown or like it's a supernatural thing, right? And they've bought in, whether they think that's their dad or if something's taken over their dad. So that, okay, we've seen that before, Stockholm Syndrome, greater power, whatever. But then when he does something, he gives her a look and she's like, you're not my dad. It's like, So what? Like, so that's what I want. Sorry, this whole time, did you think your dad got these huge powers? Why did he disappear? Why is he younger than you?
Yeah.
So when I thought she was in on the supernatural bit, I was like, oh, I'm kind of fine with her creeping around doing stuff because she's just kind of like just a servant to Pennywise, right? Like his Igor. But now it's just, I'm left with a lot more questions, and it made me dislike that stuff more
Yeah.
last week. So
I think I'm in a similar boat. Like, feels like he raised like $5 in poker, and she's like, "Oh, I got a full." It's like I can't match that. That's way too much money. Because yeah, I really didn't. I just felt like after all these years, like she's obviously got something pretty crazy going on in her brain and her mind that she's still doing this. She's trying to find solutions. She probably, I feel like she would accept that her dad isn't like alive anymore, and whatever she's chasing is clearly not him in like in his original form, whatever it is. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll get more of that context next week because she's obviously not
yeah, and she is
dead.
in
He
chapter
like
2, remember? She's
yeah,
the old lady in the house, so I guess she's still maybe doing crazy stuff, but she's nowhere in it chapter 1, right? So it's not like it's
but
not like
that was all
character.
Pennywise though, right? The old lady.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but it's yeah, no, I guess you're right. That is just Pennywise. So what's she up to then? You know,
Yeah.
she's
So
alive.
so yeah, I don't know. I think some of the flashback stuff, some of it was okay. I think I just and I said this either last week or 2 weeks ago, but it's just more than I want to know about this character. Like to me,
I think
it
it's
takes
fair.
away a lot of the mystery, the unknown, the je ne sais quoi. It just answers too many questions and is putting too much logic to something. It's just kind of over explaining, which I feel like a lot of this show is kind of doing in some way. So I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily executed poorly. I guess I just wish I didn't have this piece of lore. I kind of don't want this much information on Pennywise. I liked having him as this really ambiguous creature in a sense, and I just feel like this. I mean, there is still a
She's
lot
got
of
an
questions
adopted
for
daughter
sure.
now.
Yeah, it's just a bit too much, and yeah. So I think I'm feeling similarly on the Periwinkle stuff. I didn't like the way she
Okay.
folded there at the end. So I don't know. What do you think is going on with that character? Because like it seemed like she was faking dead is faking dead to get taken somewhere, but then obviously she like throws a little look over to the kids. But is that just Pennywise like through her
Yeah, I
body
think
because he's like mind controlling her at this point because he did the three lights on her or whatever?
I think it's just that because I think it's not. I think it is kind of somewhat the mind control. It's kind of like the Henry Bowers thing, where Henry Bowers is still kind of a messed up guy or kid, but Pennywise can exploit that and make him do certain things. I think just kind of what would be the kind of influence him a little, kind of push you to go that way, and that's where maybe she does something, I guess, next week to these kids to help out. But she looked pretty secure in that gurney. Like I don't know if she's getting out right away, and I don't know if I need that. And yeah, it's kind of odd because when they did this whole, okay, I think you're my dad, you're not my dad. Because I will say, like I said, I liked all that stuff, and I kind of thought, oh, what season 2 could be, and there could be some interest there for me as far as. I think if done right, there's a fun way of okay, this guy comes back posing as her dad, and what is that like as far as? But I guess then too, why wouldn't he just eat her, right? Like, because I just thought about it because I thought, oh, is there a season there, like season 2, if they're going back, that's the plan. It's like, oh, is that the story where instead of this time a bunch of kids figuring out, it's this kid figuring out, oh, my dad is this thing, right? And you can kind of see these hints and whatnot. But that's where it's just like, if Pennywise can shapeshift into
Yeah.
anything, why would he even have to keep the cover up per se, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of shot it down right away. I'm like, oh, that could be an interesting idea. I was like, oh, maybe just for like an episode. We saw it here where okay, with them doing it here wasn't the greatest. But I do like the idea of like how the costume was. I love how he had the wig, and I love how okay when it just becomes the full kind of melted together thing. So I like the origins of taking the idea of this clown of like, oh, I'm gonna use this to get people. But I think the baggage of what came with it after. But he was. I did actually still like Bill in that scene though, because he was maniacal when she's talking to him, and I feel like he's trying to he's playing with her a little bit. But I feel like he's thinking about what he's gonna do, but then he decides, oh, like he does that classic turn thing, and the drool's coming out. You're like, okay, he's locked in. It's not.
Yeah.
It's over for you.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like going back to that scene of, yeah, Pennywise the entity being like the little boy up in like that creepy barn shed, watching like the performance down below, seeing the kids love / I don't know if they necessarily love the clown because they kind of like are ragging on him and making fun of him and like kicking him off the stage and stuff, but at least he's able to like bring kids towards
he gets
him, which is
crowd,
really
yeah.
like all Pennywise actually cares about. Doesn't necessarily need to be liked in that same way, just needs to want to get interacted with, I guess is the way to put it. And then, but you would think like, okay, well, you'd have to think like as these years pass and the circus, when we skip 30 years from now, 30 years from that with chapter 1 and chapter 2, and the circus isn't really a thing that's sought after anymore, and kids aren't just like, oh, I want to be near this clown as much because the perception changes. Like I don't know, would Pennywise then not, or yeah, the entity, whatever would it not want to update its appearance and maybe adapt into something that's a bit more desirable? And that's where it almost felt like, ooh, is he like passing now over to this woman, like this daughter character, like maybe she'd be a good way to lure people in, but obviously that's like not what happens in the future, so that's not what he's doing there. He just recruiting her for some other particular reason. But I guess that just makes me wonder too, like why hasn't he reconstructed his identity in the future to something that's more fitting for, I don't know, I guess those movies take place in like 1990s and like 2015 or whatever.
The 80s for that one, right?
80s
but,
and
but
yeah.
even for now, right? Because I don't like in the 60s. Like I know there was probably like circuses around, but I don't know if that was
It's not something you're just like seeing in passing.
Yes.
Like you have to, yeah.
In that era, it makes sense, right? Because it's like it's a form of entertainment, and also they even, which I like, they talk about the circus, and he kind of talks about he's missing. It's like, oh, one day I'm gonna get back there. So it kind of feels like these carnival shows kind of might be for like the lower class people, right? Like that couldn't afford to go to the circus. So this is a clown that comes into town, does some entertainment, and you throw him a couple of shekels or something like that. So that's where it's like in this era, it's completely believable. But even in this show in the 60s, obviously in 60s, 50s, we were not alive. I'm just trying to think even back then, like what would you do? And I guess maybe I'm wondering if I'm trying to answer my question of like that's why we didn't see the clown too much, if they could say that, right? Because even the 50s and 60s was a clown. Was that something that kids were flocking to and everything? I don't think so. And then and even then too, like when we get to the 80s, I guess he is Pennywise a few times, but I guess I don't know.
Does he really care if they're kids though?
I don't know because
Like I think part of the Pennywise identity is that was a good one to lure in kids, but I don't know if he doesn't really care too much about it actually being kids, right? It just needs to be human flesh, presumably,
Well, I think
or
that's
like
where it goes back and forth, right? Because I feel like if you watch It Chapter 1,
maybe
he's
he just feels like
taking
kids can like he can pull more fear out of them because kids are generally more scared than
Yes.
adults, I guess.
I think that's what I was going to say. They are more like desirable in that way. So I think it's just like because in It 1, he goes mostly after kids. It 2, I think there's a couple in here, but in this show, I feel like he's killed. Like even in this episode, he's killed a lot of adults, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah, and I guess that's the same thing. Even like when he's going, we talked about already when he's taking his hibernation. Wise as form, but I think they do. I know it's dumb, but I think in the books they do just say something like, "Oh, that was his favorite. That's its favorite form." Why? I don't know, but I guess it's just, "Oh, I like being this clown." And
Yeah.
that's why he keeps coming back to, because like really again, yeah, and the like clowns are not a big thing in our age. Like when It Chapter 2, that was 2017. It's like there's not carnivals or clowns are going like clowns are regarded as a creepy thing now most of the time
Yeah.
too, right? So, but
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And also going back to the scene when he's talking to it, or like when he before Bill has been captured, and he's like talking to the kid who comes out of the woods, and the kid's like, "I don't know what happened to my parents," and he's like, "They're dead, kid." Like he says something super fucking weird.
No. That's not what he says. My parents are missing, and then Bill says, "Oh, mine are missing too. They're dead." He said his parents.
Oh, I swear he said they're dead, kid. I was like, what the f?
No,
Like
he
this
was
is
talking
not
about his
Pennywise.
own
What a
parents.
strange thing to say to this kid.
But I did like when the kid's like, "Can you help me?" And he's like, "No, I'm not helping you." But then he did help him. But I liked how kind of negative he was. But yeah, he was referring.
That's
to
a very
his
funny
parents
thing to
being
miss here.
dead,
I love
so.
that.
Yeah, so no, like I said, it was fun. I liked they gave him the whole big bald cap and everything. It was fun
Yep.
seeing Bill do something a little bit different there. And I will is not on the thing, but I just want to say this because I should have mentioned this in the military. I completely forgot. I hated everything how Hamlin came in with the one gun and like there's like 15 people with guns on him. He's like,
Yeah.
don't do it. It's like
When the other guy comes up behind him when he's in Ramar's room, like that guy, there's no reason he would not immediately shoot him in the
No.
head or leg or arm or something. When that's like the head captain guy right there.
Yeah, and look at what's going on in this town. Like they could clearly get away with this thing, So that felt a little anticlimactic where he just walked in with one single pistol and like, don't you dare burn it. I'll take you out. It's like, this isn't believable at all. Like just find a different way to get there. You know, just have him come in angry and remark, just say, hey, let's just talk. I get what they're trying to do, make like put the stakes up, but to me it just kind of felt a little cheesy at times, you know, with
Yeah,
that.
I guess they
So
just wanted the dramatic timing of like the claw putting the thing into the furnace,
exactly.
and then like, oh,
Yeah.
unturn it, don't
Yeah.
drop it in there.
Which I guess I wonder where Dick ended up because he was in the beginning of this episode. Which again, I love how last week when they brought the wanted guy and they're like, "Oh, thanks for helping us." Like, I want nothing to do with you. The poor guy. He wanted nothing to do with the situation, and
Yeah.
just the barn gets blown
And
down.
now he's getting all these disturbing dreams of like the people who just died or whatever. Like they're
Yeah,
seeing their
like-
souls leave their body.
He agreed to none of this, and all these things are after him. But no, I like that. I like when he was explaining kind of the method of the box, and I think this drips in a little last week where I wasn't here, but just the idea of how you can contain it, and now it's just kind of he's saying that Pennywise kind of removed that box, and they're all there, right? But I think at the same time, I think now he's doing what he did for the first time, where last week he said like, hey, I see these dead things, but if I don't acknowledge them, they don't acknowledge me. So I like that now he actually acknowledged one, and he's going to follow it. I think that's going to be what he's up to next week. He's following that kind of Native American character to find something, some sort of help. But that's what I like now, where it's like, okay, it's kind of a mastering of his powers a little bit, where he would, don't talk to him, don't talk to him. But now he talked to them, they're kind of helping with the situation, right? So, and I think that's a good, to me, just tie later on for advice he gives to Danny and whatnot. But there's one scene where it's near the end when he's sitting there, and it's just all the dead people coming around and grabbing him and everything. And yeah, and I like, just for the Stephen Kingness, I like Pennywise talking to Dick Halloran. It's just like
Yeah.
a funny, just like thinking about these two entities together. But yeah, I think there's some good like creepy imagery there. And yeah, same thing. Everyone's burned up, running around. Dick's just seeing dead soldiers walk by. Chief's like he's going
Yep.
through a whole different thing than everybody.
And this is like
else, you know?
because was last week the one where he was just like at the bottom of the bottle, just like totally
yeah.
yeah. So it's like this has not been a good, well, several weeks for him in a row because they even the one before that was when they went in the sewer, right? Or that was episode 5, I think.
Yeah, it
so,
was where he lost everybody and had those
Yeah.
flashbacks of his grandfather and everything.
I feel
that,
like-
so.
Is he gonna have like a cheesy like I'm gonna go find Strider like era line where he's like I need to go
I
to
took
like a
this job
calm
at the
mountain
Overlook
hotel
Hotel.
where there is no weird shit going on and barely anyone around.
I don't. So here's the thing. I think it will be 50-50 where I don't think it'll be like a shiny one, but I bet it could be like a in inference to something else in the King world, like another location or something like
Really?
that. Yeah, that's what I think.
Huh.
And not even to set up anything, just to be like, oh, that's where he gets from X, Y, and Z. The most I can't remember where the Overlook Hotel is placed. Maybe he says he's like, oh, I got family in, Utah, and
That
I'm gonna
state,
go there.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's the most I could see. But I don't need to see him pulling up to a hotel, like checking in and like, well, and I don't need to see like a young Jack Nicholson. Like I to me, what they've done with Dick, I think has actually been for me the perfect, because I know I felt like the military thing, and definitely in our Discord, the biggest thing was like, oh, this character in here. I think it was different when I kind of thought, oh, he's going to be in there for an episode. That's easy. But when he became a supporting character, and I actually quite like the actor, for me, this thing has actually landed. Like, I think it worked out. It worked well. I think there's still writing issues of it, but I think I've enjoyed the incorporation of this character in world things. And it makes me curious for if they do a season 2 and 3, if they ever try to incorporate like other Stephen King characters or aspects, right? Because the guy has, I don't know, I feel like he's probably written 100 books. I could be wrong, but maybe, I don't know. I'm going to look that up. But
Yeah, no, I think he has probably all around is my favorite character in this series, and that's for me like less than you and Taylor. Like obviously I've seen The Shining, but I wasn't like jumping out of my seat. Oh my god, I can't wait to see this character in another thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like on his own merit, and yeah, it has been a slow build, but every episode he's had some really interesting story going on. Acting's really good. We're getting some weird imagery going with it, and yeah, I just feel like some of the themes of his weird abilities really pair well with the Pennywise stuff and fear and getting into people's minds and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
I
I think
could've took a
it's
little
worked
more,
really, really well.
of that scene of them together too, like maybe Dick using some magic stuff or shining stuff to kind of avert him, but I don't think.
Yeah,
they've
do
done
you
that.
like? Do you think because I assume we're going back in the sewers next week?
Yeah.
Is Halloran going back in the sewers next week? I feel like maybe he's. I almost
Walking
could feel
there.
like he's like wrapped up his storyline at this point.
I think
He
'cause
can't
would-
be right in the penultimate, but I feel like I don't know what
Yeah.
else you're doing with him.
No, I think he'll be there for sure because he was following that ghost character. I think he'll team up with that other kid and they'll like maybe help put the block like that sword or something back to like cage Pennywise. That's kind of my thing, and especially because Halloran was talking about the whole box scenario. It's kind of a full circle if he kind of box up Pennywise, like literally, right? If he helps with that
Right.
situation of putting another stake down, he's there. So I think the kids are in the well or doing whatever stuff with the clown. And I think Halloran's kind of with some of the other, maybe Hanlon as well is helping out. Like I feel like the adults will be maybe because, and also Hanlon knows about them leaving the door open, right? The idea of I guess his
Yeah,
son's
and his
missing.
kids missing now.
Yeah, so that
yeah.
might go into it, but I think as he has that information, he might tell that to Halloran, and like that's a bigger deal. Okay, we got to close this back up. It was the way it is, because I also think without, and I think that's also another moment they'll give Halloran is the army's going to go to him and be like, "Oh, we need your help," and he's going to turn them down, right? Because without him, they can't find those 11 other pieces. So
Yeah,
if they put that one, they
true.
put that one back.
He has a lot of
somewhere.
leverage now that he was able to
Yes.
finally deliver on the thing they
Yeah.
wanted.
So I think between the combo of what happened in that barn and then what the military is doing, I think they're going to give him a moment to kind of give a big like F you to that
Hmm.
place. And even then, I could see I don't know if that sheriff is getting killed, the guy who used to be the sheriff, but remember in episode 1 when he saw Halloran and his buddies drinking the bar and he kind of shushed them out of there. I don't know if there's like a full circle moment there where he gets the better of him, whether it's like
Mm.
exposing him or even killing him, like because it's not a character that doesn't deserve death or anything like that. So I think there's a few.
Yeah, because I don't know why those guys would go into the sewer.
No, yeah, they unless they're chasing somebody, right? Like maybe they're like, like if that the wanted dad was down, like, oh, he's down there, we're gonna
Oh,
go. You know,
shit. Maybe.
that's
Yeah.
that's the only thing. So, but I think Halloran next week gets to give a couple Mia Copas. So
Yeah. Why do you think Pennywise chose to? I don't know what to call this thing. I'm gonna call it triangling Will. Why do you think he did that to him instead of just eating him on the spot in his house?
yeah, I don't know because I guess he does that to. I think it's just like it. I guess that's the ones he likes. It's the one. I think those are the tasty ones that he wants to keep around for a little bit. So it's better to. But it's weird because sometimes when he does that, he's like taking over their body or influencing them, and other times they're just floating. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of like it's a meal that's good to wrap up and put in the freezer. I guess So, but
Hmm.
real reason is just so the kids will fall them down there. Obviously the story reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why exactly, but maybe I'll
I
explain.
and yeah, I don't know how much like Pennywise keeps track of just general Derry goings on because I feel like he often will
I
pick
don't think so.
on kids whose parents have been affected by the kind of illness of Derry to the point where obviously they care that their child's missing, but like
Yeah.
after a while they just kind of give up and they're not gonna go on a witch hunt to try and track this thing down. Whereas I feel like that's not gonna be the case for Will. Like his parents. Obviously, his mom is like the least poisoned person in this whole
Yes.
town. His dad obviously has his issues and obviously hit him, I think, last week or 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago. But he's still like he is not poisoned to the point where he isn't going to do everything in his power, and he potentially has a lot of power and a lot of friends in powerful places to. And Halloran probably as well. That actually probably is how Halloran gets involved. Is probably through Hanlon, just to confuse the names
Yeah.
again. But
Oh, I know.
yeah, so I don't know. That does seem like a really risky one to wrap up instead of just insta kill. But I don't know. Maybe it's a whole ploy to get more people to come into the well, and he can get even more people
Yeah.
before he goes into hibernation or something. So we'll see what that is.
You'd think almost Pennywise would want that. You think he'd want the parents that would go out looking because that's just more food. Just that
Yeah,
more
and like
people that-
maybe that's like prime fear right there. Like
Yeah.
my kid's gone missing. They're in the sewer. That's just good stuff.
Yeah. No, I guess we'll see next week. I did bring this up to confirm it. Stephen King has written 65 novels and then over 200 short stories. So there you go. So not 100 novels,
So-
but definitely.
There's somewhere Hanlon can go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. One of those short stories got something. So,
Yeah.
you got anything else?
No, I feel like I guess there wasn't a whole lot really with the kids. Like we didn't get any school scenes this week, so
No.
I think we kind of covered it
Just
all.
that one scene in the end with the ladies kind of hugging it out because they went through like obviously lots of traumas together. Like they've all kind of lost something, right?
Yeah,
So-
they have their little. I keep only calling it the lighthouse, but their little hideout where they go pack up some of Rich's stuff, and they're talking about the plane and whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I think for me.
That's all she wrote. Yeah. Okay. Well, then next week we'll be back with the finale. We'll end it there and then see what it is, give some ratings, and see how they close us off. And see again, it's interesting if they want it. They've set. I thought they were setting some stuff up with the daughter to be like, oh, we'll leave that open for season 2, but I feel like that kind of was a closed book. So it will be interesting because maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's many shows that their idea for the season is to go back nearly 30 years for a follow-up season, right? So it's interesting of, do you do something at the end of that episode next week where you set that up, or does it just end at like, okay, we closed off the 60s, 50s, and then next season we just pick up? I don't know, and I guess we'll see. I really hope we don't like have like James Remar's kid character as like a main character. You know, like I'm not invested in that. You know, love James Remar. I think they kind of wasted him in this show. You know, we know he can do a lot more, and I don't think we saw it here. But
yeah, this show, like in hindsight, even without the finale included, it's like had a ton of flashbacks. Like probably at least an hour and a half or something of flashbacks. Some of these are really long sequences. So that's quite a lot, and you wonder what that would look like in a season 2 where we're going back to those eras and stuff. So I don't know. I guess you'd have more of like the previous eras, but I don't know. That just feels like kind of messy. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. When they started doing those flashbacks, it felt odd to me because and it's not a rumor. It's literally the creators have said like, oh, if we do more, we'd like to go back. And I like the idea of, okay, every season is a different era, right? Because that's fun for setting and casting, location. You can do a lot of stuff to see how Derry, especially if we can get to like the 1904-03 era. Like that's, I think, tons of fun. Like we're close to 1800s. Like, yeah, what was Pennywise doing back then? You know, so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll watch that next week. We'll get Taylor hopefully back for that, and promise you it will not be boring.
Bye-bye.
See ya.